As a general rule, games based on movies are pretty dire. The same can be said about shovelware party games. But what happens if you merge the two genres together to create a shovelware party game which is based on a movie? Do they cancel each other out and create a good game? Well, in the case of Rio, not really, no. Now, before I go any further, it is worth pointing out that I'm totally not the target audience that this game was designed for. This game was made for the young'uns, and so really my idea of what a good game is should hopefully be pretty different to that of a small child. Then again, the game we are dealing with here is, to put it bluntly, a pretty basic cash-in, made for no other reason than to capitalise on the success of the film. Rio is an animated movie from the guys what gone done Ice Age, and if you've seen that film before, you should be familiar with the CGI animals with personalities format which both stories follow. The star of Rio is Blue, a domesticated macaw and the last male of his species who goes to Rio de Janeiro to meet up with a female macaw called Jewel so they can have special cuddles and make baby birds to ensure the survival of their species. Or something. It's probably explained in a cuter way in the film, I'd guess. Anyway, Rio the game does have a story mode which follows the basic plotline of the movie, but make no mistakes, the whole thing is just a loose excuse for tying together a whole host of bird-brained mini-games which have hardly any relevance to the actual goings-on in the film. Each chapter of the story holds 4 mini-games which are set in that chapter's location, and on completion of each chapter, you're met with a tiny snippet from the actual movie and then a comedy roundup of how well you did, delivered by one of the game's many supporting characters. As with all party games, Rio is a multiplayer experience. You can play with up to 4 people at a time, with each player controlling a different avian hero, and there are many mini-games included. Trouble is, even though there are a lot of them, most of the games present seem to be very similar, just with slight twists on an original idea. For instance, one of the first games you will play is a snowball throwing game where you throw snowballs at your opponents, collect power-ups and compete for the most points. Then later on you play a game where you throw mud balls at each other while trying to wash yourself clean in hot springs. And then even further on you play another game where you throw mud balls at your opponents, but this time the mud slows you down. And by that point I was just like, okay, enough with the ball throwing already, crikey. Now, thanks to the huge amount of mini-games available, there is still a lot of variety here, but the repetition of the themes makes the boredom set in pretty quickly, and a boring party is never a good party.
Nice.
If you don't fancy playing the story mode, there are other modes to play on, like the party mode where you can create your own lineup of the mini-games, or Carnival Wheel and Carnival Dance, which both add ways to gamble for extra points. But make no mistake, these are just cheap ways of stringing together all the same mini-games which you've already played in story mode. The only real change of pace from the constant mini-games is a random quiz which can be turned on if you fancy answering a bit of trivia after each party round. It comes complete with questions about the film and also, bizarrely, some really tricky general knowledge questions about Brazil that children under 10 would never get. Well, unless they were, like those super brainy kids who do their GCSEs when they're 5, but somehow I'm not sure that they'd have that many friends to play a party game with in the first place, so who knows? Graphics-wise, it's all super bright with all those beautiful carnival colours flying around, and all the characters are spot on with their movie counterparts. A lot of the mini-games are played from the perspective of an aerial camera though, and because of this, Blue and his buddies are often pretty small on the screen, which means in the more chaotic games it's often very easy to lose sight of your bird. Rio is at least presented in a really nice way, and because of this it's a great companion piece to the movie. So if you've just taken your kids to see Rio and they couldn't get enough of it, why not spoil them rotten by buying them this game so they can relive the magic of the movie at home with their friends and family. It's nothing special though, and you won't like it, and hey, they'll probably get bored of it really quickly, but it's safe, innocent, easy to play fun that will hopefully keep them quiet. Well, at least until the next big CGI animal-based movie comes out, which is probably next week.